Everybody, Corporate Vegans back in the kitchen, and today I'm going to be making one of my favorite all-time meals, tacos. But this time around, because I have recently transitioned to a whole food plant-based diet for 2019, I'm going to show you how to do it with mushrooms instead of vegan ground round or plant-based ground round, because it has oil in that and it's a little bit processed. All right, so first I'll explain the salsa. So I want to add some salsa on top of the tacos, and so what I've got is tomatoes, some cumin, some garlic, green onions, parsley, and I'm adding some sauerkraut. Now, sauerkraut's fermented, so it's a probiotic, which is really great for your gut health, and so I'm gonna add that in. I think the flavor is actually gonna go really well, but I'm not entirely sure. I've never done this before, so I will let you know kind of how that turns out. For the actual main part of the taco, kind of the meat replacement, I'm going to be using portobello mushrooms and kind of dousing it in barbecue sauce to give it that kind of barbecue flavor. And then using paprika, some garlic powder, as well as chili powder to kind of really give it that smoky taste. Now for the veggies, we've got this medley of zucchinis, celery, and leeks, and I'm going to add some bell peppers and onions. Cook it up. Now, I'm not going to be using any oil at all for any of this recipe. And so what I have done though is I've got my pans preheating on the stove. Now it's really important to do that so that you don't get any of the vegetables or anything you throw into the pan to stick. So preheat your pans if you're not going to be using oil. Now as an oil replacement, you can use lime. Lime juice would be perfect for this because it will play off the flavors that we're using really well. But you can also use vegetable broth, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to throw some vegetable broth in a cup, about 1 cup or half a cup, and then just adding a tablespoon throughout. Once the broth evaporates, then I can start adding more in as I need to, but I'm hoping not to use too much of that. All right, so I'm gonna get started on the vegetable medley. You'll see that I've been, so we used some leftovers. So we've had the zucchini, the leeks, and the celery from another meal that we had used in the past. So I'm gonna use some of that, but now I'm gonna cut up a red bell pepper and then some of the onions, and then throw it into the pan and get them nice and softened. Once you put the vegetables into the pan, you've got your broth right beside you, so I've got about a cup of it. I don't expect to use it all. So basically what I do is I'm just going to coat basically a tablespoon worth as I go. Wait for it to evaporate, and then once it evaporates, I'll add more. Now, just add as much as you want, and keep in mind that the broth will have some salt in it, so you don't need to add salt to your medley. But you should add some pepper at least. But you just continue to do that until the veggies get nice and soft. So as you're waiting for your vegetable medley to soften up, which should probably take about 5 to 7 minutes, I'm gonna get started on the mushrooms. So what I'm gonna be doing is cutting up these portobello mushrooms into strips and putting it into a medium bowl. In there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a cup of barbecue sauce. Then I'm gonna add a tablespoon of paprika, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, and then half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Mix it up. I'm gonna use my hands, get really into it, and then I'm gonna put them onto the stove so that I can fry them up. What will happen is the portobello mushroom is gonna shrink to basically half of its size, and the barbecue sauce is gonna give this really great flavor. And so when you add this into the tacos, it's just gonna all come alive. Once I'm done that, I'm gonna start on the salsa. All right, so now I've got the portobello mushrooms all coated. How beautiful that looks. It smells incredible. It smells just like barbecue sauce, actually, not surprisingly. So now I'm gonna just individually lay them out into kind of this grill pan here. And you can see that I've already kind of let this pan or grill heat up. So as I'm starting to lay them down, you can already start to hear them sizzle, which is perfect. Now, I'm not actually obviously adding any oil, but I'm also not going to be adding any broth to this either, because I just think the flavors won't really go nicely together. So I'm just going to grill them up like this and kind of see how it goes. First time I'm doing it, so we're going to learn together. All right, so the final step now, as everything is cooking in the background, is to get the salsa ready. And so, like I said, this one's gonna be A little interesting actually, because we're using sauerkraut, so I'm not sure how that's gonna go. But I've got the garlic, the parsley, the onions, the cumin, and the tomatoes. I'm gonna chop them all up, throw them into a bowl, and then let's just let them sit until everything else is ready to go. That's gonna be the topper for our tacos. All right, so there you've got it. Now the salsa is looking really good. I'm just gonna add just a bit more cumin, give it a little bit of a mix, and then I wanna give it a taste because, as I mentioned earlier, this is the first time I'm using sauerkraut in a salsa recipe. So I wanna make sure it's good because this is going to be a main part of the taco. If I can get any tomatoes. That is so good. The sauerkraut gives us this like nice, obviously like a sour flavor, but it goes really well with the acidity of the tomatoes. Then you've got the green onions, the garlic. It just all plays really nicely together. All right, so update on the mushrooms. So I wasn't sure how the no oil was gonna go when we threw the mushrooms onto the grill, but it actually went really well. So you can see they've shrunk down to size, and this is both of the portobello mushrooms all in one pan. Now, for us, we weren't able to do it all in one go, so you're just gonna have to watch it and continually add the mushrooms. Once they start to reduce, you'll get the space you need. For the vegetables, now because we're using Old El Paso, I've done this before, it comes with this like Mexican mix, which is vegan, I've double checked, so no dairy in that. I'm just gonna add that straight onto the vegetables once they soften up. Now, just do as much as you want, obviously the more the better. I'm gonna use about half of it. Then I'm gonna give it a mix, and that's just gonna make sure that the vegetables have this beautiful Mexican style flavor that's gonna go really well with the salsa that we just made, as well as the barbecue style mushrooms. All right, so the final step, because everything is almost ready to go, the final step is to get the wraps from the Old El Paso pack and then throw it into aluminum foil and then throw it into the oven for, what do you think, Beck, like 10 minutes? 10 minutes. Do it for 10 minutes on 350. Once that's all done, I'm gonna plate it up and show you the end result. So I cannot believe I forgot to mention this, but we also have red kidney beans that we've cooked. We've had them soak overnight, and now we just put them into a pot and let them boil and simmer for 60 to 90 minutes. And now what I'm gonna do is, remember the Old El Paso seasoning? Well, I've used half for the vegetable mainly. I'm gonna use the other half on the beans here. I'm just gonna coat them up in this pan, which was also used for the mushrooms, so you get that flavor too. I'm just gonna coat it here, and then I'm gonna just throw it back into the pot for a little bit. So now it's all nice and seasoned, so it gives it just that extra kick of flavor. All right, so the tacos just came out of the oven, and now I'm gonna start plating them. So I'm gonna start with the vegetable medley first. Then I'm gonna go on to the baked beans, or the red kidney beans. Get a couple of these portobello mushrooms on top. Top it off lastly with some of that sauerkraut salsa. That's a lot of sauerkraut, no tomatoes. There you go. Oh, it's overflowing already. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add, of course, some sriracha. There we go. Now we've also got like this mix of nooch as well as almonds, which we've just grounded up in the food processor, which I highly recommend because I'm gonna throw that in too. Why not? Life is better with nooch. There you guys have it, a whole food plant-based taco using no oil at all. Super simple, really great, wholesome, and delicious. Unreal, guys. Oh my god, that's so unreal. All right, enough for the video. We're gonna dig into this. If you love the video, please like it, comment, follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. I'm gonna be posting these videos every single week, every Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on my schedule. So hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next week.